Dr. Elena Reyes stared at the data scrolling across her monitor, the blue light reflecting in her tired eyes. 3 weeks of the same signal pattern emanating from a supermassive black hole at the center of the Milky Way. Not random noise, not a glitch in the equipment. A pattern. A message. "You're still here." Dr. Wei Zhang's voice startled her. He placed a steaming cup of coffee on her desk, the aroma momentarily distracting her from the haunting numbers on her screen. "I can't leave now," Elena said, taking a grateful sip. "Look at this periodicity. It's perfect. Too perfect to be natural." Wei leaned over her shoulder, his brow furrowing. "The probability of this occurring naturally is functionally zero," Elena finished. "And it's getting stronger. Whatever's generating these signals, it's intensifying." Wei straightened, his face solemn in the dim light of the observatory's analysis room. "Have you told anyone else?" Elena shook her head. "Not yet. I want to be certain. But after 3 weeks. Wei, I think we're receiving a message from a black hole." "That's impossible," Wei said automatically, but his voice lacked conviction. They both knew the data contradicted everything humanity understood about black holes. Nothing escaped their gravitational pull, not even light. Yet here was evidence of precisely that: structured radio signals emanating from Sagittarius A asterisk, the supermassive black hole at the heart of their galaxy. "I need to bring this to the International Astronomical Union," Elena said, already drafting an email in her mind. "And probably contact NASA, ESA, and the CNSA simultaneously." Wei nodded, his eyes still fixed on the pulsing data. "Whatever this is, it's going to change everything." Elena couldn't help the chill that ran down her spine. She had no idea how right she was. 3 days later, Elena found herself in a secure video conference with 12 of the world's leading astrophysicists, the directors of 4 space agencies, and a handful of government officials whose exact roles remained unclear. "Dr. Reyes, can you explain once more what you believe these signals represent?" asked Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka, the current chair of the IAU. Elena cleared her throat. "As I have detailed in my report, the signals follow a mathematical sequence that cannot be explained by any known natural phenomenon. They repeat with increasing frequency and intensity. My team and I have managed to partially decode their structure using a combination of prime number sequences as a Rosetta Stone of sorts. And you're claiming these signals contain a warning." The skepticism in Dr. Tanaka's voice was unmistakable. "Yes," Elena said firmly. "The decoded portions contain mathematical expressions that, when plotted, show an expansion wave moving through our galaxy. According to our preliminary analysis, this wave represents a form of vacuum decay, a phase transition in the quantum vacuum that would effectively rewrite the laws of physics as it expands at the speed of light." A heavy silence fell over the virtual meeting. "That's theoretical physics gone wild," muttered Dr. Hoffman from MIT. "Vacuum decay has never been observed. It remains purely hypothetical. So we're black holes. Once upon a time," Elena countered. "The data is clear. Something is happening at the galaxy's center, and whatever intelligence is sending these signals is trying to warn us." "Intelligence?" echoed NASA's director. "You believe these signals are artificial? Sent by what? Some civilization living inside a black hole?" Elena resisted the urge to sigh. "I don't know who or what is sending them, but I know they're not natural, and I know they're warning us about something catastrophic approaching Earth in approximately 7 years." Another silence, heavier than before. 7 years, repeated Wei, who had joined Elena for the call. "That's how long before the theoretical vacuum decay reaches our solar system, based on a mathematical model encoded in the signals. And what exactly would happen when this wave reaches us?" asked a stone-faced woman whom Elena recognized as the U.S. National Security Advisor. Elena exchanged a glance with Wei before answering. "If the warnings are accurate, the vacuum decay would destroy everything it touches on a fundamental level. Atoms would destabilize. Matter as we know it would cease to exist. There would be no escape, no survival. Earth, our solar system, everything would simply end." The NSA leaned forward, her expression grim. "And you are absolutely certain about this interpretation?" "We have had 3 independent teams verify our decoding methodology," Wei answered. The message remains consistent. Something catastrophic is approaching, and we have 7 years before it reaches us. What do they suggest we do about it? Asked the Chinese representative, speaking for the first time. Elena took a deep breath. That's the part we are still working on. The signals contain additional information we haven't fully decoded yet, but there are references to what translates roughly as bridge, tunnel, and escape. We believe they're trying to tell us how to survive. The ESA director rubbed his temples. This sounds like science fiction, Dr. Reyes. With all due respect, Elena replied. Most of astronomical history involves discovering that reality is stranger than fiction. I'm not asking anyone to take this on faith. The data is there. The mathematics are sound. Something is coming, and someone is warning us. If this turns out to be accurate, said Dr. Tanaka slowly, it would represent an extinction-level threat unlike anything humanity has ever faced. Yes, Elena agreed, which is why we need unprecedented international cooperation. Immediately. I need more resources, more minds working on this. We need to finish decoding the message before it's too late. Dr. Tanaka nodded gravely. I will convene an emergency session of the full IU. In the meantime, Dr. Reyes, your team will receive whatever you need. If there's even a fraction of a % chance you are right, we cannot afford to ignore this warning. As the meeting disbanded, Elena sat back in her chair, suddenly exhausted. Wei placed a hand on her shoulder. It's begun, he said quietly. Elena nodded, staring at the decoded fragments on her screen. Mathematical equations describing the end of everything she had ever known. And somewhere within those numbers, a possible way out. Now we just have to convince humanity to listen, she murmured. Commander Maya Okafor floated in the observation dome of the International Space Station, watching Earth turn slowly beneath her. Beautiful and oblivious. Despite all the warnings, despite the growing consensus among scientists worldwide, most of the planet's population remained unaware of the true nature of the threat approaching them. The official story, carefully managed by a coalition of governments, spoke of a stellar anomaly requiring international scientific cooperation. The truth that the fabric of space-time itself was unraveling at the galaxy's core, sending a wave of destruction outward at light speed, was deemed too panic-inducing for public consumption. Maya understood the logic, even if she didn't agree with it. Mass panic wouldn't help anyone, but neither would keeping 7 billion people in the dark about their impending doom. Her tablet chimed with an incoming message. Dr. Elena Reyes, now the head of the Sagittarius Response Initiative, requesting a video call. Maya tapped to accept. Commander Okafor. Elena greeted her, looking even more exhausted than the last time they'd spoken. How are the preparations coming? On schedule, mostly, Maya replied. The prototype quantum anchor is installed and operational. We are running final tests this week. Elena nodded, clearly relieved. That's good. We have had a breakthrough with the latest signal cluster. We have managed to fully decode the blueprints for what we are calling the bridge. Maya's heart skipped. You're certain? The full specifications. As certain as we can be, given that we are interpreting alien mathematics transmitted from a black hole, Elena said with a tight smile. It's beyond anything we have imagined. The engineering challenges alone would normally take centuries to overcome. But we don't have centuries, Maya said. No, we have 5 years, which is why I'm calling. The coalition has approved your mission expansion. You are getting 4 more modules and a crew expansion. 30 more specialists, primarily quantum engineers and physicists. Maya whistled softly. That's substantial. When? First launch is scheduled for next month. The coalition is finally throwing everything we have at this. The Chinese are bringing their heavy lifters online to assist with the components too large for conventional rockets. Maya nodded, gazing back down at the blue marble below. And has anyone told the public yet? Elena's expression tightened. The coalition still believes a controlled release of information is best. They are sticking with the stellar anomaly story for now. 5 years, Elena. 5 years until everything ends. Don't people deserve to know? To make peace with it, at least. The bridge might work, Elena insisted. If we get it built in time, if the specifications are correct, if our interpretation of the signals is accurate. That's a lot of ifs, Maya interrupted gently. And even if it works exactly as intended, we both know the bridge can only save a tiny fraction of humanity. Thousands, maybe tens of thousands, but not billions. Elena closed her eyes briefly, the weight of this knowledge visible in every line of her face. One problem at a time, Commander. First, we build the bridge. Then we figure out who crosses it. After they disconnected, Maya continued floating in the observation dome, watching darkness creep across the Atlantic as Earth rotated. Somewhere down there, her parents were probably tending their garden in Lagos. Her brother would be picking up his children from school in London. Ordinary lives, continuing in blissful ignorance of the cosmic deadline bearing down on them. Maya thought about the bridge, humanity's Hail Mary pass into the unknown. According to the alien blueprints, it would create a stable wormhole, allowing passage to another location in space-time, beyond the reach of the approaching vacuum decay. A lifeboat for a select few, while the rest of humanity remained behind to face oblivion. The injustice of it burned in her chest. But what was the alternative? Let everyone die? Save no one. Her tablet chimed again, a message from Dr. Zhang this time, requesting her input on the quantum anchor calibrations. Maya sighed, pushing aside her moral quandary for more immediate concerns. The bridge needed to be built. Without it, philosophical debates about who deserved to live became moot. She took one last look at Earth, committing its beauty to memory, then pushed off toward the station's main laboratory. There was work to do. General Darius Lee stood before the United Nations Security Council, his uniform immaculate, his expression grave. Behind him, a holographic display showed the progress of the vacuum decay wave. Now just 1 year from reaching their solar system. Operation Lifeboat is proceeding according to schedule, he reported. The bridge platform is structurally complete. Dr. Reyes and her team are implementing the final quantum calibrations. Initial tests show promising results. And the selection protocol? Asked the French representative, her voice carefully neutral. Darius suppressed a grimace. The Coalition Survival Committee has finalized the selection criteria. The lottery system will begin next month as planned. Murmurs filled the chamber. The lottery, the mechanism by which humanity would choose which tiny fraction of its population would escape through the bridge, had been the subject of bitter debate for years. Some nations had demanded proportional representation based on current population. Others argued for selection based purely on skills and knowledge needed to establish a new human civilization. Religious groups claimed divine right to choose. Billionaires offered vast fortunes for guaranteed spots. In the end, a compromise had been reached. 60% of available spots would be allocated to specialists deemed essential for rebuilding human civilization. 30% would be distributed via a global lottery open to all citizens of participating nations, and 10% would be reserved for cultural and biodiversity preservation. That IT was wildly insufficient. The bridge could transport approximately 50,000 people before the vacuum decay reached them, out of a global population of nearly 8 billion. The public announcements are scheduled to begin next week, Darius continued. All member nations have prepared their emergency response protocols for the civil unrest that will likely follow. Civil unrest, repeated the Russian representative with a bitter laugh. That's quite an understatement, General. We're talking about mass panic, riots, possibly even wars for the remaining resources once people realize most of them are doomed. Which is why we have waited as long as possible to make the announcement, Darius replied evenly. The bridge is our only hope. We need to protect it at all costs. The Chinese representative leaned forward. And the alternative proposals? The generation ships? The cryonic preservation facilities? Darius shook his head. The generation ship program was deemed unfeasible within our time frame. As for cryonic preservation, without a place beyond the vacuum decay to eventually revive the subjects, it would merely postpone the inevitable. The bridge is our only viable option for preserving human life. The Security Council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. After a moment, the Secretary General spoke, her voice heavy. Then we proceed as planned. May God help us all. As Darius left the chamber, his aide fell into step beside him. Sir, Dr. Reyes is requesting your presence at the Global Response Center. She says it's urgent. Darius frowned. Did she say what it's regarding? No, sir. Just that it concerns the signal source. 30 minutes later, Darius stood in Elena's office at the GRC, watching as she manipulated a complex holographic display of signal patterns. We have been so focused on building the bridge that we missed something crucial, Elena explained, her fingers dancing through the light projection. The signals have been changing, evolving. It took our new quantum AI to spot the pattern, but once we saw it, she trailed off, expanding a particular section of the display. "What am I looking at, Doctor?" Darius asked. "Evidence that whoever or whatever is sending these signals isn't just warning us passively. They are responding to our efforts. They have been monitoring our progress on the bridge and adjusting their transmissions accordingly." Darius straightened, instantly alert. "Are you suggesting they might be hostile? Could this bridge be some kind of trap?" Elena shook her head. "No, quite the opposite. They're trying to help us improve it. These new signal patterns contain refinements to the original blueprints. If we implement them, we could potentially increase the bridge's capacity by an order of magnitude. From 50,000 to 500,000, potentially. Still a tiny fraction of humanity, but 10 times better than our current plan." Darius finished, his mind racing with the implications. How quickly can these modifications be implemented? Elena's expression turned grim. "That's the problem. These changes would require us to essentially rebuild key components of the bridge. Given our current resources and time frame, we might not finish before the wave hits," Darius concluded. He paced the length of Elena's office, weighing their options. "If we commit to these modifications and fail to complete them in time, we risk losing everyone. If we ignore them and proceed with the original design, we condemn hundreds of thousands who might otherwise have been saved." "There's something else," Elena said quietly. "The new signals contain information about the source. Whoever is sending these messages. They claim to be human." Darius stopped pacing. "Human? How is that possible?" Elena projected a new set of data. "According to these transmissions, they're humans from our future who escaped the vacuum decay event through means similar to the bridge we are building. They have somehow positioned themselves near the black hole, using its gravitational effect for a form of time dilation that allows them to send messages to their past, our present." "That's..." Darius struggled to find the words. "Are you certain of this interpretation?" "As certain as I can be. They have included verification data, historical events that occurred after we first received their signals, presented in the original transmissions as predictions. The quantum AI confirms the statistical impossibility of them guessing these events correctly by chance." Darius sat heavily in the chair opposite Elena's desk. "So future humans who survive this catastrophe are reaching back to help us save more people than they originally managed to save. That's our current working theory, yes. And to do that, we need to gamble the lives we know we can save now on the possibility of saving more." Elena nodded, the weight of the decision evident in her tired eyes. "The modifications are extensive. We need to reallocate almost all of our global resources. Every participating nation would need to commit completely." Darius thought of the political nightmare this would create, the accusations of changing the plan at the last minute, the conspiracy theories that would inevitably emerge. Then he thought of 450,000 additional people who might be saved. "Make the case to the coalition," he decided. "I will support your recommendation. If there's even a chance we can save more lives, we have to try." Elena's shoulders sagged with relief. "Thank you, General. I will prepare the presentation immediately." As Darius left the GRC, he looked up at the night sky, wondering if among those distant stars were the future descendants of humanity, reaching back across time to help their ancestors. It was a strangely comforting thought. Now, they just had to convince the rest of the world to take one more leap of faith. Maya stood on the observation deck of the bridge station, watching as the last transport shuttle docked. Around her, the massive structure hummed with energy as the final preparations for activation commenced. The past 11 months had been the most chaotic in human history. Once the public announcement had been made, society had teetered on the brink of collapse. Some regions had fallen into anarchy. Others had maintained order through increasingly authoritarian measures. Religious movements had flourished, ranging from apocalyptic cults to new faiths centered around the mysterious signals from the black hole. Through it all, work on the modified bridge had continued, fueled by humanity's desperate determination to survive. The coalition had nearly fractured multiple times, especially when the selection process for evacuation had begun. But somehow, improbably, they had persevered. And now, 1 month before the vacuum decay was projected to reach their solar system. The bridge stood ready. Maya's comm unit buzzed. "Commander, all evacuees are aboard. Final count is 489,273 individuals, plus stored genetic material for approximately 50,000 additional plant and animal species." "Acknowledged," Maya replied. "Begin final evacuation sequence. All non-essential personnel to their designated departure points." Across the station, the remaining crew, those who had built the bridge but hadn't been selected for evacuation, began making their way to the shuttles that would return them to Earth for their final month with loved ones. Maya felt a pang of guilt. Her position as bridge commander had guaranteed her passage. It was necessary. Someone needed to lead the evacuation through to the other side, but the knowledge that she would live while billions died had haunted her for years. "Quite a view, isn't it?" Elena's voice came from behind her. Maya turned to find the scientist joining her at the viewport. "I didn't know you were on this rotation." Elena offered a tired smile. "Last-minute addition. The coalition felt someone who understood the signals should go through, just in case we need to communicate with our future selves on the other side." Maya nodded. It made sense. "Are you ready?" "As ready as anyone can be to abandon their home world and leap into an artificial wormhole based on instructions from a black hole." Elena replied with a hint of her old humor. Then, more soberly, "I keep thinking about everyone we are leaving behind." "We all do," Maya said softly. "But we have done everything humanly possible. The world's governments have distributed the euthanasia option to those who want it. Religious organizations are providing comfort. The remaining month will at least be dignified." "Small consolation," Elena murmured. "It's more than we would have had without your discovery," Maya pointed out. "Without the warning, humanity would have ended with no legacy, no continuation. At least now, some of us will survive to remember Earth." Elena nodded, though the grief in her eyes remained. After a moment, she straightened. "We should join the others in the control center. It's almost time." As they made their way through the station's corridors, Maya noted the solemn faces of the crew. There was no celebration here, no triumph. Only the heavy burden of being the chosen FEWI in the control center. General Lee awaited them, along with the senior staff and representatives from each major nation participating in the evacuation. Commander Okafor, Dr. Reyes, he greeted them. "We are ready to begin the final sequence." Maya took her position at the central console. "Bridge system status?" "All green," reported her executive officer. "Quantum anchors at full capacity. Stabilization field nominal. Transport pod secured and ready for transition." Maya looked around the room, meeting the eyes of those who had worked alongside her for years to make this moment possible. "It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve with you all. What we do today ensures that humanity will continue. That Earth's legacy will not be forgotten." She turned to Elena. "Dr. Reyes, as the person who first heard the warning from the void, would you like to initiate the final sequence?" Elena stepped forward, her hand hovering over the activation panel. "Often wondered why they chose us," she said quietly. "Why these signals came to Earth, to humans. We are not the most advanced species imaginable. We are flawed, violent, often short-sighted." She looked up, meeting Maya's gaze. "But we are also incredibly stubborn. We refuse to go quietly into the night. And perhaps that's why they reached back to us, because they knew that given even the slimmest chance at survival, humanity would seize it with both hands and hold on for dear life." With that, she pressed her palm to the panel, initiating bridge sequence. Around them, the stations hummed deep into a resonant thrum as unprecedented energies began to flow through its quantum lattice. On the main view screen, a swirling vortex of light began to form at the center of the massive ring structure that was the bridge itself. "Quantum fluctuations within expected parameters," reported one of the physicists. "Exotic matter containment holding steady. Wormhole aperture forming," added another. "Spatial coordinates match the target location specified in the signals." Maya watched, awestruck despite years of preparation, as the bridge came to life. A stable passage through space-time, created by human hands guided by messages from humanity's own descendants. "First transport sequence initiating," she announced as the station's AI began the carefully choreographed process of moving their precious human cargo through the bridge on secondary monitors. They could see inside the transport pods as families clutched each other, some praying, others weeping, all facing the unknown with the courage that had defined humanity since its earliest days. The first pod entered the swirling light of the bridge and, for a heart-stopping moment, disappeared from all sensors. Then a cheer erupted as data streamed back, confirmation from the other side. The pod had arrived safely at its destination, a habitable planet orbiting a stable star, far from the approaching wave of destruction. Pod after pod followed, carrying their portion of humanity to its new home. As the operation continued smoothly, Maya found General Lee at her side. "It appears we have succeeded," he said quietly. "So far," Maya agreed. "But the real challenge lies ahead. Building a new civilization from scratch won't be easy. If anyone can do it, it's humanity," Lee replied with grim confidence. "We have come back from the brink before. Never quite like this." Elena joined them, her eyes fixed on the monitors showing the evacuation's progress. "No," Lee acknowledged. "But perhaps that's the point. Maybe this is what those future humans were showing us. That even in our darkest hour, we have the capacity to save ourselves. To transform catastrophe into renewal." Maya considered this as she watched the steady procession of pods carrying humanity to its future. "I wonder if they will remember us," she mused. "The ones who come after. Will they remember Earth as it was? The oceans, the forests, the cities? They will," Elena said with surprising certainty. "Because we will tell them. We will carry our stories, our history, our culture to the new world. Earth won't truly die as long as humans remember it." As the evacuation continued, Maya found herself thinking of all those left behind. The billions facing their end with dignity and grace. The courage it must take to accept what cannot be changed, to find peace in one's final days. In that moment, she understood what made humanity worthy of survival. Not their technology or their intelligence, impressive though those were. It was their indomitable will, their refusal to surrender to despair even when facing cosmic destruction. The same spirit that had pushed them out of Africa to populate a planet, that had taken them from stone tools to interstellar travel in a cosmic eye blink. The same spirit that had enabled a species of talking apes to build a bridge across space-time, guided by messages from their own descendants. Final transport pod entering the bridge, announced her XO, breaking into her thoughts. Maya straightened. "Prepare the command pod. It's our turn." As the senior staff made their way to the final transport, Maya paused for one last look at the view screens showing Earth below them. Beautiful, irreplaceable, doomed, but not forgotten. Never forgotten. "Goodbye," she whispered to her homeworld. Then, squaring her shoulders, Commander Maya Okafor turned toward humanity's future and stepped aboard the waiting transport. Behind them, the bridge glowed with unearthly light, a testament to what humans could achieve when pushed to their absolute limits. A doorway to tomorrow, built by the sheer force of human determination. As their pod entered the swirling vortex, Maya closed her eyes. When she opened them again, they would be looking upon a new world, one where humanity would have a second chance. And perhaps, someday far in that future, they would find a way to send their own message back across time and space. A warning, yes, but also something more. A reminder that even in the face of cosmic destruction, humanity refused to go gentle into that good night. They raged, they built, they survived. Humanity, indeed. As the final transport pod disappeared through the bridge, the massive structure began its automated shutdown sequence. Its purpose fulfilled, it would remain as a silent sentinel until the vacuum decay wave arrived to claim it. On Earth, billions of humans went about their final days in various states of acceptance. Some raged against their fate, others found peace in faith or philosophy. Families gathered, stories were told, music played. Life, however briefly, continued. 30 days later, right on schedule, the wave arrived, invisible, unstoppable, fundamental. As it touched the outer planets, their very atoms destabilized, matter converting to energy in a process too rapid for pain or fear. When it reached Earth, the blue marble that had nurtured humanity from its earliest beginnings simply ended, not with apocalyptic spectacle, but with silent, total transformation. In less than a second, everything that had been Earth was gone, but humanity endured. Across an unimaginable gulf of space, on a world circling a yellow star much like their original sun, the survivors of Earth began again. They built settlements that grew into cities. They established new traditions while honoring old ones. They told their children stories of the home they had lost and a mysterious message from the void that had saved them. And in time, as their civilization advanced beyond even what old Earth had achieved, some of them turned their gaze back toward the galaxy's center, toward the supermassive black hole that had once been their savior. They wondered if perhaps the circle remained unclosed, if they themselves were destined to become the messengers who had reached back through time to warn their ancestors. After all, that was the human way, to defy impossibility, to reach across the barriers of space and time, to ensure that life, against all cosmic odds, continued. Humanity, indeed,